Now we come to the reverse grid for the final race, and you've got Mr. Styrene alongside you. Are we going to be able to do him?
Yeah, well, I got a plan. I'm going to follow Rick through touring car style, and he's going to just open a gap for me, and we're just going to follow through and then get to the front. But yeah, it's exciting stuff. I think the top four have 30 seconds over the fifth, sixth, and the mid pack. So I think we're going to get up to them pretty quickly. It's just there's some hard chargers up the front who aren't going to want to get out of the way. So it's going to be exciting stuff. I'd like a win.
Cliff, interesting weekend.
Very, I'm afraid. Yeah, I had the best qualifying I've ever had at second position on the front row. First race of the year for me, and in the Boxster, and I was amazed, but got up alongside Rick Styrene, very similar times, and yeah, it was excellent for me qualifying. You want to know about what happened?
I was going to say a bit downhill after that, wasn't it?
Yeah, running second halfway through the race, and had a bit of a moment and got tipped off and into the barrier, so that put me out the race. So that was the end of that. So that was a shame. However, the next race this morning, we were running fifth quite nicely because I started at the back, and had another moment. Had a spin actually. Just put a wheel in the dirt and lost the car. Lost 3 places, so I finished 8th. The positive is the car now is on the second row of the grid in 3rd position, and gives me a chance for the 3rd race.
Rick Styrene's behind you, more importantly.
Rick Styrene is behind me. How long that will last for is, I've seen him come from the back of the grid in virtually every race he comes in. He is the daddy. He's just wonderful in these cars, and he's just got it all under control. Yeah, I am expecting to have to look in my mirrors, but we'll see how it goes.
Nick Hull on pole, Mark Mackenzie alongside, then Adam Croft and Cliff Graham in 4th, Steve Potts and Arjo Josh next, with Jonathan Greensmith and Steve Boyles on row 4. Will Sharp and JM Littman followed by Rick Styrene, then Bernie Printy in the first of the productions, then Julian Brown and Rebecca Jackson, followed by Hugh Peart and David Jones. Next it's Philip Waters and Clive Morrison, Anthony McVinsky and Simon Hawksley, with Alistair Kirkham, the race winner for the 924s from race 2, starting at the back of the field. A squeak of the brakes greets Steve Boyles onto the grid. There's the view from Jonathan Greensmith. JM Littman, I love the quote. Touring car style, he's going to follow Richard Styrene through the field. We'll see whether Richard is going to get the jump on him at the start. Lights are on. Off they go. We're underway here at Zandvoort for the 3rd race of the weekend. Jonathan Greensmith lightning off the line. So too is Steve Boyles. That's Arjo Josh in front. Mark Mackenzie is there with Nick Hull on the front of the grid. Through goes 66. Will Sharp 3 wide into Tarzan. Adam Croft on the outside line. Mark Mackenzie on the inside. Mackenzie squeezes through into lead position. This could be, with an unknown circuit, a reverse grid. I take my hat off to the organisers and more importantly the drivers of these Porsches as they go through Hugenholtz for the first time. On board with Steve Bond. There's Richard Styrene following Jonathan Greensmith, and behind him JM Littman. It's incredible driving standards from these boys, and girl of course in the mix as well. In a lesser formula there would have been absolute carnage on an unknown track, a reverse grid. That start says it all for me. On board with Will Sharp, looking up the inside of Nick Hull. Jonathan Greensmith on board. There's Rick Styrene going through. Cliff Graham ahead of him. Styrene switches from one side of the circuit to the other. Incredible driving from Styrene. Well, they said he's the daddy. He's making progress through the field. Up front though, it's Mark Mackenzie still leading. Oh, spin for Adam Croft. Hard lines Crofty. I paused because there could have been a very nasty moment there, but thankfully everybody's avoiding him. There goes JM Littman, past Greensmith, now challenging Cliff Graham. Now remember that Littman was behind Cliff Graham in the first race of the day, and let's see whether he can get past him in these early stages of this 3rd race of the day. Littman looking down the inside, Graham grabs the line and gets hit! JM Littman though, look at that, carries on, both hands on the wheel, still focused on what's going on ahead. Here's the battle with the 924s, Anthony McVinsky in the mix as well. It's a job to know where to look. Styrene down the inside of Arjo Josh. Now, what position has he got up to? He's into third place, and we're barely round lap 1 yet, and there's a challenge for the lead. Through into the lead goes Will Sharp, and following him through into second place is Richard Styrin. Styrin second, onto lap 2. Outside line as they come into Tarzan. RJ Josh is out, and Styrin's going round the outside at Tarzan. Can he hang on to it? Will Sharp's seen him. Sharp gets back in front, grabs the line, retains the lead into Hugenholtz for the... Well, this is the Gerlach corner. Now they come round into Hugenholtz here. J.M. Littman, we go on board with him. He was hoping to follow Richard Styrer, and he is, but he's a couple of cars behind, still trying to work his way through the field. On board with Steve Boyles, Jonathan Greensmith up the inside of Nick Hull. And now he's being made to work. Still side by side these cars, inside line at the next corner. But it's still Will Sharp out front. Richard Styrer in second. What an incredible right way through the pack. And at the moment, challenging for the race lead. Styrin all over the back of William Sharp, who of course is going to be hungry for his first win. But Styrin already, he's on the attack. And he's got the inside line. They're side by side. Will Sharp still there, turns in, one hand on the gear stick, and well, he knows that it's game over already because Styrin's gone through. Not only has he gone through the field, he's going to post the first best flying lap as well. Let's see whether Will Sharp can recover and have a go. There's our Josh running in third place at the moment. So Josh, this is very impressive set of opening laps from all three drivers. But Richard Styrin, right the way from the back of the class. Will Sharp now will learn from watching Richard Styrin and how he takes the corners. Arjo Josh behind him, Mark McKenzie in fourth, then it's Cliff Graham. Cracking racing, you know, it's still not all sorted out, is it? Because there are a lot of places behind that need to get sorted out. Oh, look at that, the Union Flag car, the Austin Powers livery of Nick Hull goes off, loses a little bit of ground. Rick Styrin up across the line, can pick the line that he wants, and it's not even halfway defensive going into Tarzan. A lap ago he was looking at the outside line, and he's just driven through the field, the reigning champion, looking for a 7th straight win here. He won the second race from pole position. Battle on for second. Arjo having a good go. Mark McKenzie, Cliff Graham, then J.M. Littman, followed by Jonathan Greensmith, Steve Boyles, then Nick Hull on board with Jonathan in the yellow car. Working hard, Jonathan Greensmith, trying to work his way through the field. The significant thing about Rick Styrin's drive for me is that he didn't have to make all those passes in the first lap, but he was just absolutely on a mission in this 8th round of the Toyo Tyres Porsche Championship. The Logson Group car running well. Cliff Graham looks to the inside of Mark McKenzie. J.M. Littman down behind him. Littman goes to the outside line, and Jonathan Greensmith coming up the inside. Mark McKenzie gets a spin going into the corner. Again, masterly avoidance from most of the drivers. You've got to be so switched on. If you've not had a race drive yourself, if it's possible to get a passenger drive in a car, I thoroughly recommend getting a fast lap with a driver, and even on a passenger lap you'll get an idea if somebody spins of how quickly these drivers have to react. On board with Jonathan Greensmith. Down the inside of J.M. Littman. I think he's going to hang on to it. This is the view from J.M.'s car. The Webhead's car turns in. Is he going to try and return the favour as they come down into the S's, turn 16 and 17 on this Zandvoort course? Greensmith back there. Littman really has been involved in the cut and thrust in this race, but Jonathan Greensmith, who had a very strong second race coming through the field, to take 5th position after his DNF in the first race. Cliff Graham up ahead of them, so J.M. Littman has been passed by Greensmith. Then it's Steve Boyles, but here comes Littman, looks at the inside line down into Tarzan, and he's just too far back, as you can see from this one. Look how hard he's working. It's a very physical circuit. Littman up through the gears into Gerlach, turn 5, and then back to the Hugenholtz corner. You can see the main grandstand here. It's a good place to come and watch. You can sit in the grandstand and see a fair bit of the main arena, including the back straights of the main arena here. The short circuit, you can see pretty much all the circuit off from the grandstand. 72 is Alistair Kirkham, who looks like he could be on his way to another 9.24 win. Down behind him is Philip Waters in the 15 car. So Littman and Greensmith still at it, both newcomers to the championship. Greensmith out of the also BRSCC run Mazda Championship, and if you've not seen our programme before, BRSCC stands for the British Racing and Sports Car Club, one of the main organisers of motor racing in the country. As Littman looks up the inside, and is he going to go through? We can see his next target, Cliff Graham up front, and there's the view from Jonathan Greensmith. He doesn't look happy about that, but J.M. Littman goes through. Littman through, Steve Boyle's lining up as well. So the Mazda man has been passed. We go on board with Steve Boyles. He's going to line up to have a go as well. Looks up the inside line. Here comes the yellow car of Jonathan Greensmith. Ex-champion in Mazdas, chasing former Caterham racer. And then down behind them, it's Nick Hull. Richard Styron set a best lap on lap 3 of 2:00.7, slower than he did in race 2. He's got the lap record here, which is 2:00.3, 126.5 kilometres per hour as the race, well, not the leaders, Cliff Graham goes through. With J.M. Littman again looking down the inside. Then we go back with Jonathan Greensmith. Still working hard. Jonathan's car not looking as happy, I don't think, as it might at the moment. Cliff Graham ahead of J.M. Littman, which is where he was in race number 1. The early stages of our programme here on Motors TV, so it's kind of a little bit of deja vu for JM, who's trying to deal with Cliff at the moment. Arjo Josh flashes through picture, running at the moment in 3rd place. It's Rick Styron out front still from Will Sharp.